Hey guys, mouzHasu here, bringing you another Starcraft 2 game. This time we have a Protoss vs Terran on Blistering Sands. Spawning in the bottom position, we have mouzHasu spawning as the yellow Protoss, and in the top position we have Naama spawning as the red Terran. Blistering Sands, a very interesting map. As you'll see, you have a ramp right here that leads to a very close natural expansion with a nice little choke point here. But the thing that makes this map particularly interesting are these back rocks. A lot of games will depend on your proper use of these rocks, either to break them down and allow yourself access to move army units to your opponent's base even quicker, or as a surprise attack to attack your enemy without them knowing, breaking down the rocks and doing as much damage as possible to the back of their base. mouzHasu throwing his pylon close to his nexus, very common play versus Terran. You do not want to spread your units out. You do not want to lessen your choke. You want as much room for movement as possible when you're dealing with things like Hellions and Reaper Harass. You want to be able to move freely around your base, and you do not want to have to deal with choke and slowing down your own units. Chrono boosting probes out, very common play. Gateway on 12. Oh, excuse me. Barracks coming down on 13, no gas yet, and speaking of the devil, here comes the gas. Still building SCVs, decide to build his buildings very close, again, not opting to wall off. Sometimes Terran will wall off versus Protoss, is very less common. Probe versus SCV doing a little bit of howdy doody. One of them was on attack move. Protoss moving into his base, going to get a scout off, going to know what's happening, sees there's no room for any kind of add-on. Not sure exactly what Naama is going to be going for. I'd imagine it could be some kind of factory play or some kind of bio play. Surprising, however, that he did not leave room for an add-on. This could be part of his plan to later move it and give the opinion to the Protoss that he's not going to be using an add-on and going for some kind of quick bio ball stim pack push. Back in the Protoss base, still chrono boosting out pros, getting the cybernetics core as quick as possible. Sorry about that, bringing up the production tab. Cybernetics core about a quarter of the way done. Looks like we're going to see some kind of warp gate push, not opting to even get one zealot, going straight to sentry, going straight to stalker. Stumbling over my own words, trying my best here. Second assimilator going down. I'm going to imagine we're going to see some kind of warp gate push with 2 gas, allowing him to spend more gas on sentries. Marine killing his scouting probe. 2 Marines out on the field already. Still no tech add-on, no additional barracks. And here comes a factory. We're going to be seeing some kind of factory play versus Protoss. Very interesting. Most players opt to go for a bio ball kind of push. Very common. We're going to see what he's going to do with this factory. Here comes the barracks. Looks like he's probably going to be moving it to put on some kind of add-on. See what kind of add-on he puts onto this barracks. Making me a liar. No add-on has been started yet. Jumping back to the Protoss base really quick. 2 gas up and running. Got his stalker almost done. Scouting around, making sure there's no funny business in his base. SCV gonna go see exactly what's going on here. Sees the cybernetics core, sees that warp gate's spinning, sees that the stalker is about to end his life. Back to the Terran base. We have him now deciding to throw a bunker up for a little bit of extra defense at his ramp. Doesn't want to have to deal with any kind of stalker push while he's only operating with Marines. No add-on added to that barracks, just moving it out of the way because it didn't want it there. Throwing a tech lab onto his factory and throwing down a starport. So we're going to see some kind of 1-1-1 build. Protoss opting to go for a robotics facility. Not actually going for a warp gate push, going for probably some kind of 3 gateway robo push. Checking back on the probe, just doing the watchtower. SCV intel, knows he's there. Just walking around, getting any scouting information he can. Stalker going to deny that SCV any kind of scout. Down goes the SCV, jumping back to the Terran base. Bunker with a couple Marines doing what he can. He's got the Marines sitting here, so he's aware of any kind of backdoor action. And he actually swapped the factory with the starport, going for cloaked Banshee play. Generally going to be a very good option versus Protoss, but this Protoss deciding to go Robo facility is going to be completely prepared for a cloaked Banshee with his observer, or so we would imagine. Gateway being added on. Building more and more stalkers, has 1 zealot on the field, sending a probe to scout. We have a proxy pylon in the top position, giving him a little bit closer of an advantage to spawn units. Kind of a weird position, however. Oh, no. Excuse me, starport going down. I thought that was a weird position for a warp-in pylon. Proxy Stargate and a robo facility, doing everything he can to keep this Terran on his toes. Second bunker being added up. Obviously, Naama is not very sure what he wants to do. He's scared of some kind of warp gate push, preparing, building up his defenses. The nice thing about bunkers is it can be salvaged for their entire amount of the cost back. Siege tech and siege tanks almost done with his cloak. Looks like we're going to see some kind of push. And oh, did he pass that with his unit? Let's jump to the Naama. No, he did not. He did not see that. Very good. That starport is still a mystery. Here comes the Banshee doing whatever he can. Immortal onto the field. Obviously preparing for some kind of... two Immortals. Very sure that our Terran player is going to be going for land. Not aware that this Cloak Banshee is coming in. Cloak is now done. Let's see what kind of damage he's done. Observer completely out of position. Observer is sitting right here, trying his best to get back, getting as much damage as possible. 1 kill, 2 kills. Come on, Banshee. 3 kills. Still sniping away. Observer is almost back to his base, getting there. He knows that something's up. He knows he's going there for a reason. Moving his Banshee out, getting enough scout information. He's run out of energy, escaping with the Banshee with his life. All the meanwhile, Warp Ray now finished. It's time for mouzHasu to do a little bit of air harassment as well. An additional barracks, bringing his barracks total up to 3. Still pumping Marines. Reactor on the 1. Still pumping Banshees, adding the siege tank into the mix. Here we go. Banshees taking out the probe, and here comes mouzHasu coming for a push. He's got the Observer ready. He's got the Warp Ray up here. It looks like he's going to do some kind of double prong attack. Marine sitting on the high ground, sees the push, knows this is coming, sees the Immortals, sees the Stalkers, knows that he's going to have a problem. See how he reacts. He keeps the siege tanks hidden, up, taking out the Marine, setting down a proxy pylon so he could warping units faster this entire time. Banshee just getting as much scout information as possible, and here we go. Warp Ray coming in. Is he going to break down the rocks and go through the back, or is he going to go through the front? And, Naama actually being quite aggressive, deciding to leave his base for now. Nope, deciding to back up, knows it's not a good time. Knows that he's going to have to turtle up a little bit harder than this. Structural rocks going down, almost dead. Warp Ray's fully charged, 2 Warp Rays in the mix. This is, oh, beautiful, look at that. He's charging, keeping his Warp Rays charged with his own units. Absolutely fantastic Warp Ray micro. And here we go, torching that factory like it's not even there. SCV is brought up a mineral life, getting rid of these HP bars so you can see better what's going on. Immortals, Marines. Marines are going to be too much for this. Too many Marines taken down. There goes the Warp Rays. All the air presence is gone. Nothing but these Banshees. 1 Immortal, 1 Stalker. Forced to back up, forced to escape, trying to reinforce his army. Bringing out a Phoenix, interesting. Very interesting play. You don't see a lot of Phoenix play versus Terran. At least not from anyone except for the man named Noni. Go, taking out the probe. Very nice defense by this Terran, completely taking this game into advantage. Building a second Phoenix now, forced to retreat. Sitting here, he's not building anything out of his robo facility, adding on work gates, adding on stalkers, doing everything he can to make himself have air presence as well as something to do with these tanks. Trying everything he can to claw his way back into this game. That push turned out to be quite devastating. He broke his army. Now the Terran with an extreme army advantage, bringing the army to 52 to 40. And as you can see, he spent 1,550 minerals compared to 975, 600 more minerals into his army as compared to his opponent. Very, very strong push coming. We'll see what this Protoss player is able to do to defend this. Bringing back his Phoenixes, getting ready to mount anything he can to prevent this push. Bringing up another Observer. No Immortal tech at all. Phoenix is just trying to harass, trying to slow down this push. He knows he's going to be in trouble with these units coming there right now. Strangely forced to retreat. I guess he was not sure exactly what he was going to be running into and wanted to be as prepared as possible for this. Chasing around these Phoenixes, wasting precious time, deciding finally it's time to go check out his expansion, being as annoying as possible. Hasu Ob's just being irritating with these Phoenixes, slowing down this push. Very, very important, giving him as much time as possible to build up his army and prepare to deal with this oncoming Terran assault. Phoenixes being intelligent as possible, taking out units as they're trying to reinforce. Here we come, push into the main. Marines sniping this gateway, almost down. Marines, there goes the gateway. Phoenixes coming to support. Zealots versus Stalkers. Not sure how the Protoss is going to be able to defend this. Here he comes, fighting off 1, 2, and the 3 Banshees are dead, killing all the Marines and lifting the siege tanks. Absolutely brilliant play. Down. He's still not going to have enough units to defend this. It doesn't look like. Marines coming in, Banshees coming in. Siege tanks shooting down the pylon. Absolutely terrible damage. Here come the Zealots, here come the Sentry. Siege takes too much. Probes forced to bring off of the line. Trying everything he can. Lifting up a Siege tank. Killing off. Come on. Go. Almost the Marines dead. Almost got the Siege tank done with the probes. Marines are almost dead. Stalkers Mike going. Zealots being worked to do everything he can to keep himself into this game. Terran player decided to forfeit his attack, group his units, and prepare for another assault down the road. Still a very, very large shot to mouzHasu, bringing up the income tab. Surprisingly, he is still ahead in, he's still ahead in Harvester's count, 20 to 22, even with the ones he had lost. The Terran player not building a very strong SCV. No one is expanding so far, letting his gas build up to about 600. And he's finally now getting combat shield. He already has stim, still does not have concussor cell, but is obviously chosen. But Marauders are not going to be a part of his army composition. Mostly Marines, mostly saving his gas for things like Banshees and tanks, throwing down an additional factory to hopefully add some tanks to his mix, bringing out 2 Banshees now. Looks like he's going to come for another small attack. Stalkers chasing down a Marine that was trying to do a little bit of scouting information. This starport now adding a warp ray to the mix. And he is operating off of 1 robo, 2 gateways, and 1 starport. A Terran in a very dominating position, running off of, actually very close position, I should say, running off of 3 barracks, 1 starport, and 1 factory. Here he comes. He knows that there's something up here. He knows that air units should not be appearing so quickly. Finding his proxy, killing the pylon, stopping this warp ray from being finished. Warp ray gets canceled, money saved. Very nice by the Protoss player. Has the observer following him, knows exactly what's going on. Here he comes, bringing the units, dropping the HP tab. Marines, too many for this, taking down the warp ray, forcing the Protoss units to retreat. Let's see what the Protoss unit decides to do. Excuse me for moving the camera. Here he comes, slowing him down. There's just not going to be enough Protoss units. Protoss doing everything he can to stay into this game. He's warping in units. He's still not using this robotics and deciding he still wants an air presence. Deciding to throw a starport up at the back of his base. Not stopping his air presence. Does not want to be caught only with a ground army. And here he comes. Looks like he's going to try to be aggressive. Try to slow down this Terran from just entering his base and killing off everything he can. Here he comes, killing the Marine, and the Terran finishing off this starport. Decides that this starport was too much to sit there unpowered and look pretty. And the Protoss player, knowing the size of the army, decides to back up and turtle up and try and save this game the best he can. We'll see if the starport has any, see if the starport has any effect on there. Decided to start a Robo Bay, trying to add Colossi, trying to add starport, doing everything he can, building every unit from every tech tree, and eventually, hopefully, all those units will come into a giant victory. Here we come. Large Terran army deciding not to attack. Looks like mouzHasu knows everything he's doing with that observer. So he is aware that this very large push is coming. He's moving his units in position, warping in more Zealots, doing everything he can to prepare for this. Scan coming down, he sees the very small army of mouzHasu, and he knows that he is in the advantage, and he knows it's time to push. Bringing up the army tab, 75 to 56, absolutely huge army differential, canceling the Robo Bay, knowing it's not going to be enough. Looks like the Marines are just going to be too many, taking down pylon, taking down another pylon. Protoss player trying to bide his time, trying to gain enough units to stop this push, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. He's not operating with any expansion. Here goes the Nexus, halfway down. He's in the back. He's harassing with Phoenixes. That's not going to be enough. He's going to need much more than what he has right now. Terran player deciding to go back to working down this Nexus. Protoss player getting all of his units, including his probes, going to try one last epic defense. He has just enough units to throw on a Nexus ship to survive this. He might be able to claw his way back in the game, but it doesn't look very likely. Siege tanks and Banshees doing terrible, terrible damage, and decides to game out. Terran player, absolutely flawless play, brilliant defense, and and wins the game. Thank you, everyone. This was mouzHasu. I hope you enjoyed.